Greetings and salutations. Welcome in, everybody, to the We Are Rise show. You survived the weekend. How's everybody doing? Great. That's fantastic. Let's welcome in my co-host, Marshall Smith. What's up, buddy?
Brett's got his new toys. It's like Christmas again. Merry Christmas, Brett.
The stream, what it is, the StreamYard is really good. But if you're bumped up on a category and stuff where they have to change everything, they add new stuff. So you play around with it and stuff. So it's fine and stuff. You got all this interesting stuff, artwork, whatever. I mean, it's fine. It's really nothing.
You're going to
really
be a shock jock now.
Yeah, right. That's not something I want to do. So welcome to the We Are Rise show. Hope you had a good weekend and I hope you enjoyed last night's show. We're going to have, there's going to be a little, let's just say, fall into from yesterday. It'll be overlap just a little bit. Sides are hardening. Loyalties are fracturing, and choose now or be chosen for. That's tonight's show. I got a lot more that's going to be involved, but I think there's so much carryover from what I talked about yesterday. It seems like everybody from Crowder to a variety of different people are talking about what we talked about yesterday is about the rift that's happening all over the place, the old guard, the Rhino Republicans, so to speak. That's what it is. And also, let me just say this. There's the new right. It's not the woke right per se. There's a woke right, but I think it's a new right. It's a different right. A right that, let's go and say, maybe rights the ship in some way. Remember, this is a big tent, and whether or not you want to be a part of MAGA or not, or proclaim you are or not, it doesn't matter. Because I'm going to say this. If the First Amendment is intended to protest anything, remember this. It's intended to protest offensive speech. If you're not going to offend anyone, you don't need protection. That's Larry Flint, ladies and gentlemen, the publisher from Hustler. That's what he said. And I think this is clear today that free speech, again, is under duress. It's never gone away. And now it's coming from the old establishment guard because they're beating back the right, which they call the woke right, but it's not the woke right.
Not woke at all.
It's not. In the sense where they woke it up. Yeah, it's the opposite of that. I mean, if you want to say what woke is, woke it up. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're living in the past tense, and they're losing every opportunity they can as they threaten you, they abuse you. I mean, they're doing things that the progressive left are, and they are no different. Let's welcome in Pill.net. I want to say hello out there to everybody out there. Thea, thank you coming in hot with the ship. Let's get this party started. Yes, thank you so much. Come on. Wood USA donating 117 gold pills. Thank you so much, Wood, always being there. Trusty Turnup, how you doing? Good to see you, Patty B. I saw you. Who else is here tonight? Alphabet, Omega Pill. What's going on? Live long and prosper. Yes. MG615, True Terran. Greetings and salutations. What's up over here on Rumble, FL John 48. We're also on Teresa Bradley. Hi, Brad, and hi, Brett and Marshall. I'm glad people are over there on YouTube. Please subscribe. That's the most important thing. That's all I ask you. If you're over there and you can watch a show over there, let me know how the stream is going over there. I hear it's going positively well. I believe I'll be doing a show with Thomas, True Reporting, tomorrow. So we'll test out. I'll see how that's going to go. It'll be the first time I'm on YouTube with him. So it'll be interesting per se. But let's get into tonight's discussion because I got,
Did you say Larry Flint?
Larry Flint. Yeah. Larry Flint.
Do you remember his sculpture in his backyard?
Yes. Well, listen, Larry Flint went to the Supreme Court in the late 80s.
Tell everybody, what was it, Brett? Tell everybody. Come on.
Well, no, it's about, it's
big
about
middle finger in his front yard.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You were saying.
No, on the Intercoastal Waterway, Larry Flint had a huge middle finger at pointing at the Intercoastal. So all the yachts are cruising by. Anyway, it's First Amendment. It all ties in, but it's kind of funny.
Right. And I think it's poignant for this moment that we're looking at, because when you think about it, if you're not going to offend anybody, because clearly I can offend somebody real easily, then I need protection. So I think the point is that we need to look at this because your free speech, obviously, or what we're seeing right now, the rift that's taking place, that is happening. This comes from Rift TV, and I'm going to show you that. Like, share, and subscribe. If you want to drop us a gold pill, that's great. hit that bell when then we want to be notified, or you want to be notified when we go live. You could do so. Same over there on Rumble as well and on YouTube. Again, if you want to help out Marshall, Ko-Fi.com/SurfDog74, you can help out myself at buymeacoffee.com/surf. We are Rise. All right, let me get into this. I listen, I had between last night and today, I've been spending hours about just researching, going over about how interesting this overlap is, this feud. Major articles are being covered. They're seeing the line being drawn. And I think a lot of people are noticing a fragmentation, a splintering, a partition in some way. I think there is. Tucker Carlson Fuentes interview draws a stark line in the GOP and signals the end of the establishment dominance. This is an excellent article, which I will drop in the chat tonight because I want to read this and I want to blow this up as much as I can. I'm glad I got the background bright enough so you could see it. Let me get this. Hold on. Okay, there you go. Tucker Carlson's October 27th interview with Fuentes did more than spark outrage. It established a clear distinction between the establishment right and the insurgent new right, a boundary that Charlie Kirk had previously blurred, but is passing erased. Remember, we talked about yesterday that everybody's jockeying and jostling for position in some way, ponying for position for that. But see, Charlie Kirk's let's just say it a little this way. It was too late for him at that time. He might have been waking up to a lot of different things, and he would probably come around if he was still alive, per se. But I think that time is over. And it was perfectly nixed at that time. And I'm not saying that, but it was perfectly nixed that he wasn't able to come around. And there was a reason why. Carlson's platforming of Fuentes didn't just provoke the old guard. It solidified his allegiance to new right and exposed the growing unpopularity of the establishment among young conservatives. The line is drawn. Establishment versus right. Look at this. Here it is. Limited government, global leadership. This is the core belief of the establishment. Institutional loyalty. Remember what Mark Levin said yesterday. It's all about the bureaucrats. They can care less about you. It's all about the bureaucrats. That's what he was focusing on. Foreign entanglements, military adventurism, free trade, service, economics, industrial offshoring, constitutional norms, donor-driven social issues, civic nationalism, key figures, Shapiro, Cruz, Fox News, and there's more. Randy Fine you could throw in there. You could throw in Lady Graham, New Right, America First, Christian identity, nativism over immigrants, selective engagement, realist policy, foreign aid cuts, tariff industrial reshoring, antitrust actions, nationalism, Christian heritage, anti-woke policy, Fuentes, Schaefer, Jones. Okay. And, you notice you don't put in there for Tucker. The establishment right controls legacy media. Murdoch's Fox, Wall Street Journal, think tanks, Heritage, Claremont, and donor networks, Paul Singer, Bill Ackman. It speaks in policy beliefs and prime time segments. The new right lives on the X, Rumble, and Telegram. It speaks in memes, streams, and unfiltered rage. It doesn't ask for permission. And that is the beauty of it, okay? That is the beauty. People can vent. They could say the things that they were not allowed to say prior to this. They were not allowed. They were castigated if they spoke out of turn, if they spoke up, if they raised their voice. And what happened that we're just seeing now come around? That many people are getting their platforms back because the dying regime, okay, of this dominance that we're going to see that is behind the curtain, all right, that was running this operation, you're going to see it. I'm going to tie it together. He turned turning points. There it is for years. Charlie Kirk was the establishment right secret weapon. The only figure who can inject raw enthusiasm, youth energy, and campus-level excitement into a movement otherwise dominated by aging donors. He turned the Turning Point USA into a $100 million juggernaut, packed arenas, viral TikToks, Gen Z voter turnout for Trump. He spoke like a streamer, not a senator, fast and fiery. He took the establishment money, Bradley Foundation, Claremont Institute, pro-Israel PACs, but delivered it with popular flair. He defended Zionism, free markets, and interventionism, but he wrapped it in Christ is King energy that felt authentic to Christian youth. Kirk was the bridge. He made the establishment cool to the young. He let billionaires fund culture war wins while keeping the base fired up. He blurred the line between donor boardrooms and door room rage. Then on September 10th, he was murdered. The bridge it didn't break. It was demolished. And TPUSA has rebuilt it as a fortress. In the months since, TPUSA has purged its dissenters. Listen to this. Dozens fired for private messages questioning leadership over Israeli policy. New leadership doubled down on Zionism. Mandatory pro-Israel training, donor-mandated events, and public pledges of unwavering support. The tone shifted from scrappy to elitist, less campus chaos, more gala dinners, less memes, more policy memos. What was once a youth pipeline is now a donor loyalty program. The energy is gone. The bridge is gone. Kirk's death didn't just unblur the lines, it strengthened the divide. And TPUSA firmly aligned itself with the establishment side. Do you see the causal connection here? With the death, Charlie Kirk was the bridge. He was able to connect both sides of that equation. And now with his death, his untimely assassination, or was it, was perfectly set up. So the bridge that was there has now been blown up, and the chasm that divides these two sides is growing ever so wide. The new right didn't mourn the loss of the bridge. They celebrated its destruction. Interesting. Carlson Fuentes, the line solidifies, and Tucker picks a side. Carlson didn't interview Fuentes to debate policy. He did it to force the establishment to defend itself, and it failed. Fuentes spoke for 2 hours on donor capture, foreign wars, and cultural decay. Carlson pushed back lightly. You think I'm a Fed, but let the critique stand. The old guard responded with panic. Shapiro, slop. Cruz, normalizing Holocaust denial. Josh Hammer, the fox is in the henhouse. Unless neutralized, the victim. It says, unless neutralized, the victim is the GOP itself. Interesting. Hammer's line, widely criticized, is basically calling for the murder or death of Fuentes and let's put it this way, Tucker Carlson. This establishment appeared in desperate. This was the fury shown by Candace Owens' bombshell text, which demonstrated how Kirk was under pressure from pro-Israel donors to block figures like Carlson from speaking at Turning Point events. 12 staffers were fired for leaking sensitive info and sympathizing with Owens' narrative. This brought the purge numbers to 45 to 60 staffers at a 300 full-time. Listen to this. Plus 30 plus chapter leaders purged from the Groyper infiltration. I guarantee you, you haven't heard this. You heard Owens speak about this, okay? And she's really gone off the deep end, all right? She wasn't able to control the narrative in such a way. She's went so far up the reservation, all of this gets overlooked. That's the problem. She should have stayed on target, and she didn't. As the establishment scrambles to purge all dissidents from its ranks, Carlson's clip, 4 million views in 48 hours. That's what it's all about. Let me say this. The interview is less about him, meaning Fuentes, but what he represents to an audience, a subscriber base that is growing exponentially, in that they no longer believe in the old guard media or what it speaks for or stands for, which is not your truth or even the perceived truth. Think about that. Carlson didn't just cross the line. He staked his claim on the emerging right. Fox News primetime down 18% under 30s. Think about Gen Z. That's 13 to 30, all right? Millennials are 30 and up to about 44. Think of that age group. And how much is that going to be overlap? Do they perceive the same things? Are they living in the same type of dogma? Absolutely. Are they moving away from the old guard? Were they ever a part of it? Or were they swept up with the progressive left? The establishment right is losing the support of young people and constantly its future. Here we go. Money, Singer, Ackman, Media, Murdoch, Shapiro, Institutions, Heritage, and Claremont. The chief of staff for Heritage just resigned. Gen Z Trust, 22% Harvard Utes, 68% New Right, X, Rumble Engagement, Platform Reach, Fox, 80 million homes, Carlson, 50 million monthly on X. Donor model, 100 million plus PACs, Claremont Institute, small donors, crypto membership. Tone, policy, respectability, memes, confrontation, authenticity. I'm going to leave you the rest, but this is the last part. Young conservatives didn't grow up with Reagan. They grew up with the Iraq and Afghanistan war, the 2008 crash, the COVID lockdowns, offshore jobs, and censored speech. Bingo. When people were all deplatformed, people will all see this. I'm dropping this in the chat. This is an excellent article.
It is very good.
You want to spread this and understand where we are. This is the point of the discussion. The sides are hardening. They're getting stronger. They're getting viral. They're getting visible. The loyalties are fracturing. People are breaking. If Charlie Kirk was the actual bridge that kept these two institutions from the establishment right and the new right connected in some way, and that was for Donald Trump, the MAGA movement, what have you, well, his death symbolizes the destruction of both what you can see as an illusion, a fantasy, and a new reality. Those are the things that I'm putting into place. I want you to understand the focus that we're saying. Marshall, I'm dropping this in the chat. Your thoughts about this? Did you like that article?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is an excellent article. I recommend everybody read it. It is just awesome. On Friday, Brett, you will probably remember I said that they are co-opting Tea Party USA, not Tea Party, but TPUSA, Turning Point. And they damn sure are. I knew this was coming. Because, it happened in the Tea Party.
Right.
We actually had factions doing the same freaking thing. They have co-opted TPUSA, and now it's going to be destroyed, basically. Because, and I see what's going to happen in my opinion, is that these young kids they're not stupid. They're seeing this, and they're going to start a whole new deal.
Right.
That ain't going to be this. Now, is it going to be as big as what Charlie Kirk built? Who knows? It might be just individuals at each campus.
Right.
Whatever. But it ain't going to be this. This is like America for Prosperity type shit.
Yep.
But, funded by the Koch brothers. So, goodbye, TP. Sorry.
Yeah, Thea says, I'm unsubscribed to TPUSA. The devil just moved in. Yeah, I was never subscribed to them at all. I like watching Charlie Kirk. I like his viewpoints, but I never subscribed to TPUSA. I don't subscribe to anything. I'm not wholly captured or beheld to any type of situation or scenario or group. I think that what it is that the veil has now shattered because Kirk's death. And now everybody are seeing what I said yesterday and when I showed you about Mark Levin, Randy Fine, Lady Graham, Ted Cruz, and many others go batshit crazy about this interview. And it wasn't about Fuentes of what he said. It's about the audience that is captivated, that is growing, that is exponentially spreading, and that they're losing the narrative. They're losing their talking points. They're losing the argument. They don't want it. When you heard Lady Graham say, we're killing people and we're cutting your taxes. Okay, that's their mantra. Or when Mark Levin said, hey, if you don't toe this line, the bagel line, if you don't toe that line, we'll fine you, we'll take you out. I mean, you heard other people say, Randy, we'll beat you down if you run for Congress. We'll beat you down. It's unbelievable, Marshall.
Yeah, Mark Levin was really nasty, man.
Well, it just showed, and he was mumbling under his mouth about mentioning death threats to both Fuentes and this. And you know what? This is a scary time right now because they are now becoming and imploding. They're self-immolating exactly who they are. They're showing you who they are. This is important to see. Understand, this ties into Charlie Kirk, TPUSA. Why is his wife out there right now saying to the defense, who basically doesn't want cameras in there? She's saying, no, we have to see this. We have to see what's going on in here and stuff. The prosecution has kept silent about this. Now, the question is, if you're the prosecution of this case for Tyler Robinson, do you want cameras in there or not? Do you want this to be some type of OJ trial? Do you want this to be? It's the defense are saying they don't want cameras in there. What do you think about that? Usually be the prosecution. Another OJ trial? Or how about the wackadoo from Orlando that killed her kid and put it in the trunk and buried her in the woods? Oh, yeah. The Casey Anthony story. She lives in Palm Beach now. All right. How about that wackadoo who gets off? That was televised too. So the question is, what about that and where are we going? All right, moving forward. So Ben Shapiro, another one. He's losing his edge. He's losing every opportunity now to fix and solve this problem and come around and a more, let's just say, even kill, but he doubles down. Hey, folks, I want to do something today on today's show. I'm not playing him. I don't want to listen to his weasel words. We're going to cover one topic in depth. The topic is, I think, most important thing happening in the country. It was a hot topic last week, but I want to take some time to really gather my thoughts and speak about it in a coherent fashion, holistic fashion. That topic is the fragmentation of the political right, began Shapiro. The fragmentation is being caused purposely by a splinter faction of people led by a young name by Fuentes. No, okay? It's not being led by him. This is not has to do anything with Fuentes or Tucker or anything. It's that the narrative, the discussion that's involved has now moved into a new audience, and a new audience has moved away from the old audience, and the old audience is still stuck in the late 90s, early 2000s of wanting to go and, destroy other countries. I mean, that's what it is. They're looking at it from a different persona. They're saying right now, hey, I don't have a job. It doesn't pay me enough. I can't afford my car. I can't afford my rent. The groceries are too high. That's the narrative. That's what is representative. It's not about the Hitler. It's not about the Nazis. It's not about any of that stuff. Okay? Even though that's a small token of that, it's the representation of what that is. They call themselves the Groypers. They're a white supremacist. They hate women, Jews, Hindus, blah, blah, blah. Christians, brown people, wide variety of backgrounds, blacks, American foreign policy, America's Constitution. They admire Hitler and Stalin. And that splinter faction is now being facilitated and normalized within the mainstream Republican Party. The main agent in that normalization is Tucker Carlson. So now they're blaming Tucker for giving him a voice or a platform, all right, to speak about this in some way. But again, I go back to what I was saying about First Amendment speech and protected speech that offends anyone. Aren't we entitled to have these discussions and debates, whether you like the person or not? And you don't have to, but that's not the issue. It's the audience that listens to these conversations open and freely without having commercials from Pfizer or having all these other things that blockade all this stuff. Tucker Carlson is an intellectual coward, a dishonest interlocutor, and a terrible friend. And Tucker Carlson last week aided and abetted celebrated normalizing Nazism with the Republican Party by the mainstay organization of the traditional right, the Heritage Foundation. Okay, I'm not going to read the rest. I got more to go. But that was his main, let's just say, discussion breakdown of how he felt about what Tucker Carlson. This is still a divide. This is still a chasm that is separating. I don't even want to say put the MAGA base in there and stuff because I don't know where that fits. There are people that are pro-Israel that are with Levin and all this stuff, and then there are the people on the other side that are not. And the divide that's in between no longer exists to control the narrative or keep it together like a Band-Aid. And so right now, what you're seeing out is the divestment of TPUSA, the divestment of the Republican Party as a party that let's just say, is an old guard that is ceasing to exist right before our eyes because they can't control what is actually coming out. And what is coming out is that the perceived truth and the real truth, depending on what's in between and what lies, is what other people are realizing and uncovering themselves. Marshall, your thoughts?
Everything he said in that article was a complete lie.
Yep.
He said we hate Jews, we hate this, we hate blacks, and all this shit. Yeah, and that is not true at all.
No.
What we like is the truth.
Right.
And what they hate is the truth. And truth to them is hate.
Yeah.
So they call it anti-Semitism, which has nothing to do with any of that. Anyway, go ahead.
No, that's the point. I think understanding where we are with this and stuff, Steven Crowder really does a good job, I think, getting to the point almost to where I was suggesting. It's not exactly these two people. It's about who's losing the narrative, who's gaining the narrative, and what is happening. Charlie Kirk was able to absorb it from both sides. He was taking blows from both sides. And he was able to keep it together. But no longer that glue is there, and thus the divide continues on. There is nothing inherently anti-MAGA about Tucker Carlson interviewing Nick Fuentes. No, there isn't. And to say that he's MAGA or not, that's a very subjective argument. I'm not going to say that, and I'm not going to say he's not either. But who are you to make a suggestion if he is not, or either if he is or is not. That's not me to decide. All right? That's for you to decide. And you know what? It doesn't matter. But it's not anti-MAGA to have a discussion. All right? I thought we were under the belief that the Agenda 47 was protecting our constitutional rights. That was the discussion that President Trump pushed forward that we all were falling into and understanding. That being said, there is a right way and a wrong way to have this conversation. And it seems like a lot of people are missing the point. This is an excellent overview.
A disqualifying factor. And I don't see some of these people. But let me first clarify what should not be a disqualifying factor. And I don't see some of these people there understanding this. Interviewing controversial figures should not be disqualifying at all. Whether it's Nick Fuentes, whether it's Vladimir Putin, whether it's Sergei Lavrov, whether it's Dugan, who we interviewed, Jeffrey Sachs, or Clint Howard, the lady nun.
I was like, wait, what?
These are not disqualifying factors, nor are bow ties or recently becoming enamored with fly fishing or even putting bow ties on the fish that you fly.
So we thought it would be interesting to take a look at a contemporary, modern-day 2024 Russian grocery store 2 years into sanctions. Here we go. So I guess you put in 10 rubles here and you get it back when you put the cart
he discovered Aldi.
Yeah.
So it's free, but there's an incentive to return it. Come on.
Trader Joseph Stalin's.
Unicorn and mini mills. All right. And we all came in around $400, about $400. It was $104 US here. And that's when you start to realize that ideology maybe doesn't matter as much as you thought. Corruption. If you
it still matters.
People's standard of living and you tank it through filth and crime and inflation, and they literally can't buy the groceries they want, at that point, maybe it matters less what you say or whether you're a good person or a bad person. You're wrecking people's lives in their country. And
you understand what Stephen Crowder's saying? Him going to Russia and exposing what we're living through right now, dealing with the increased grocery prices, the crime, all this stuff, and showcasing that Russia, the big bad voodoo, Michael Myers, the boogeyman. Okay, yep. You could go there. He's not getting murdered or killed. He's going there into the grocery store. He's spending less. He went with a group of people. This is what put him on the map from the establishment right, and went after him saying, no, you can't do that. You can't be a part of this. You can't show Russia in a good light.
And that's what our leaders have done to us.
Well, what about Russian leaders literally imprisoning people for holding the wrong political perspectives? Or the fact that 60% of all Russians spend at least half of their income on food because of how poor they are. It should give you pause if someone simps for Sharia law.
Sharia law is bad, Seth. I don't know if you've heard that. It's bad. It's worse than what's happening in New York and Detroit. It's just bad.
Correct.
I don't know why. You should know, Seth, that the real danger is Sharia law.
He's being sarcastic.
Sharia law. And you can tell when you go to a place like Abu Dhabi or Riyadh, like, oh man, I hope we don't ever wind up with a society like this.
Now do Kandahar.
A rape rate of 0, where you leave your keys in your Lamborghini and don't ever worry about it being stolen. And if people want to get wasted, they do it at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
And you guys caught that, right? You said a rape rate of 0.
Yeah.
Do you know the statistical likelihood of there being a rape rate of 0 in an Islamic country? Ironically, it's 0. You guys remember this, right? January 1st, 2021, when some of these texts were revealed, we said, we are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I truly can't wait. I hate him passionately. That seems pretty cut and dry. Is there inconsistency in the subject, in this case, Tucker Carlson, in their own views that they espouse? Is it very hard to keep track of? And is there inconsistency with what has been relatively established as conservative, America first, nationalist values? I would say yes. And that has nothing to do with interviewing Nick Fuentes.
No.
Who maybe, we'll have on the show at some point in the future. I'm sure I would agree with him on some things and disagree with him on a whole bunch of things. Probably would be less of a debate and certainly not like a softball like Tucker Carlson. Like that's what an interview serves. That's its purpose, is to get answers, usually from the person most qualified to give those answers. But if you just skim past them, that's where I think you're right to be skeptical.
That's what he's saying. He's saying that if the interview wasn't so soft, with Tucker Carlson that maybe in some way there would have been some type of, let's just say, less pushback than what he's getting. And, you know, Tucker's made some misstatements left and right about Trump and MAGA and a lot of other things. So again, like I said, it's a subjective argument to put people in these categories and boxes. I'm not doing it. I don't really care. Okay. I don't care how you feel about that, what you think about that. That is not the discussion here. The discussion is about the narrative. It's how the narrative is flowing, how people look and feel about exactly on this old guard versus the new right and what has taken place between that conversation. Now, if the conversation was a little bit more heated and passionate, maybe people wouldn't have come down so hard on these two at the moment. And there could have been some pushback on the conversation at hand. But since there wasn't, it seems to me in some way he's given a pass and they don't like that. Marshall, your thoughts?
Yeah, it is all being exposed. This is all meant to happen. Mm-hmm. It's a gradual unfolding of what people have been blind to see for so many years. Like all the boomers, they have no idea. So they're starting to, I don't know about the boomers, but many people are starting to wake up and realize that, look, guys like Netanyahu are not necessarily our friend. They're not necessarily doing the holy thing all the time, right? Like they preach. They're absolutely not. Look what they're doing to Gaza.
Well, you have to look at Netanyahu as a microcosm of the macro estate of Israel.
Yes.
If he wasn't like the people and like what he was doing, they wouldn't be voting him in per se over and over again. All right. To say that the elections were stolen or rigged for him in a favor, I would have a hard press saying that. I think as much people like to pretend that he is so dissimilar for the rest of the people in there that vote him in from the base, I don't know. Like I said, I don't live there. I don't know what the error margin is per se, but he's allowed to continue on because there's a percentage of that base loves what he's doing.
It's true.
Yes. And that's the only reason. If they didn't, he wouldn't be there. Think about where we are right now. Nancy Pelosi is stepping down. Okay, we'll get to that article, but she's stepping down. She's not running again next year. She's probably going to step down because she's being forced to step down. That's number one. Or she's going bye-bye. Or number two, she's going to do it early as to get her daughter in there. So the daughter will be automatically picked by Newsom, and then she'll be in there for that period of time. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll continue on. So the Information Liberation, another great platform, great read. I covered some of this yesterday, but this is some of the stuff we didn't discuss. Republican Jewish Coalition CEO Matt Brooks tells Shabab Gathering that he talks regularly with Netanyahu about the existential threat of anti-Israel world right, Fuentes, Carlson, and Candace. Their attacks are all coordinated.
Let me be honest about a point. Anti-Semitism exists on the right as well. Voices like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens,
they're
Nick
putting
Fuentes,
targets on their back.
Stu Peters are unacceptable and dangerous. And we at the Republican Jewish Coalition take this threat very seriously. We work independently and in partnership with allies like Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro to call it out and root it out. We must be vigilant, always. We do not ignore it. We confront it loudly and consistently. And one of the reasons that we are so fixated on combating the rise of the woke right in our party is a couple of reasons. Number one, first and foremost, we saw what was happening in the Democratic Party early on, and we sounded the alarms when the rise of Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, and they started getting elected. And all of our friends on the left and in the Democratic Party would say, "Oh, you're just being, you're just trying to scare everybody. It's the fringe. They're not, they're irrelevant. They're not in power. They're whatever." Meanwhile, as they turned a blind eye to that quote unquote fringe has now become the mainstream and taken over the Democrats.
Okay, that's what I wanted to show you. Let me get out of that. All right. So here we are. Former U.S. Senator Norm Coleman declares the JNS International Policy Summit in Jerusalem that the masters of the universe are Jews. Listen to this. This is important. I'm leading into understanding the discussion and the reason why a lot of people were kicked off YouTube. A lot of people had lost they were debanked, deplatformed, demonetized. They were destroyed. They were using Media Matters as this presumptive narrative to go after people, and who was backed by them.
A majority of Gen Z have an unfavorable impression of Israel. And my friends, I think the reason for that is that we're losing the digital war. Okay, they're getting their information from TikTok and whatever it is, and we're losing that war. When you think about it, the masters of the universe are Jews. You know, we've got Altman and AI, we got Zuckerberg, we got Sergey Brin, we got the group across the board, Jan Combs, you know, founded WhatsApp. It's us. And we have to figure out a way to win the digital battle. Amelia, we got to get our digital sneakers on so that the truth can prevail over the lies. And when we do that, the future of Israel will be stronger because a majority of all Americans will support Israel. We'll make that happen. We have to make it happen. Thank you.
Do you see what's going on? Do you understand what is taking place? Let me get back into this, but I think this is important. Let me back out of this and I'll play this one more. I got one more. This is the best part. I'm trying to show you the separation, the divide, the chasm of what is taking place. Why do you think they wanted to infiltrate TikTok? Why do you think they're trying to infiltrate X? What do you think is going on? They realize that this generation is no longer watching Fox News, CNN. They don't care about that. They're on their phones. They're on their laptops. They're watching TikTok. They're watching X. They're watching all these things. If Elon Musk didn't buy X, we would be all screwed. You think a lot of these people could come back on YouTube, and they were slowly removed with the lawsuits that were taking place with YouTube, multiple lawsuits, the censorship, all this stuff. Do you think it was an accident? Now you know, and you're going to hear who are the people that were actually doing it. You just heard Norm Coleman. We are the masters of the universe. And he mentioned the Jews. He mentioned Israel. He said they were the reason why. He was intimating the suggestion in some way to suggest the reason why this was all pulled down is because they're the ones that were pulling the lever and sound the alarm. Listen to this. Meta's Facebook Jewish Diaspora Chief Jordana Cutler tells Israelis she used her position to carve out specific protections for Israelis and Jews. We ban content claiming Zionists run the world or control the media. This is unbelievable.
In addition to my work leading the Israel Public Policy team, I created a new role specifically focused on the Jewish diaspora. It is a privilege to represent Meta to Jewish communities worldwide. I am proud that Meta's commitment to addressing anti-Semitism on our platforms has remained steadfast, especially after October 7th. Our policies are industry-leading in protecting Jewish people and Israelis on our platforms. Our community standards include policies that prevent harassment, violence, and incitement, and include a robust framework to combat anti-Semitism. Our hateful conduct policy includes specific protections for Israelis and Jews. We banned Holocaust denial and distortion back in 2020. We changed industry thinking on this issue, designating denial as hate speech rather than misinformation. Wow. It wasn't just about facts. Why? It was about protecting people from harmful conduct. We banned content with harmful stereotypes about Jews, such as the claim that Jews run the world or other major institutions. We updated our policies to recognize that the term Zionist can be used as a proxy for Jews and Israelis.
Wow.
We banned content claiming Zionists run the world or control the media, and we do not allow for dehumanizing comparisons of Zionists. It's a delicate balance between safety and expression. My role is to ensure that the voices of Israelis and the Jewish community are heard in this policymaking process.
She told you why a lot of the channels were brought down. She explained that to you in clear. I think that was, you're finding out now while the veil is being lifted, the curtains are coming up about what is taking place and why people are returning to YouTube. People are returning and getting their Cash App, their PayPal. Some of these things are coming back because they're the ones who did it. I understand what you said, Casey Snowman. What about the hate speech against Christians? Exactly. No one talks about that. We all know here now that the Khazarians fake Jews, but they seem to own everything. Yeah, we understand that. The narrative is going to die. I know it is. I see you, Sausage Launcher. What's going on? Missed you. Here we go. Curious Cat, thank you for the cookie. Thea gifted the ship. Thank you so much. Who else is here? I saw Hogleg. Hogleg gifted the cookie in the can. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. You want to help out Marshall, Ko-Fi.com/surfdog74. Yeah, she just told you it's not about truth. Yes, Nog Dog. Exactly. That was the point. If I never saw a statement as so, let's just say, honest to tell you why they did that, I mean, obviously they weren't going to tell you for the last 5 years, but now they're being forced into that position. They're basically frothing at the mouth to tell you, yes, it's we. We did it. We did it for a reason, Marshall.
She literally said that it's harmful and dangerous for you to criticize them.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it harmful and dangerous for us to criticize you?
Right.
Because you will be exposed for all your fucking lies.
Right.
All these people do is lie. They lie and lie, and people are getting sick of it.
And that's why the new right, or the new right, or right, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't even call it the woke right. I'd say the truth right, or the right that I don't even know what to say, but I don't like the term woke. I fucking hate that term.
Alt-right is another term.
Alt-right, or whatever it is. I don't even like that term at all. You know what I'm saying?
I think the truth right is right.
Yeah, the truth right, or the new right, or whatever it is. But you got to think of something that's, that's different.
The awake right.
Yeah, I think that, that's even possible too. That's
woke,
separate from
awake.
the establishment is clearly the divide. And Charlie Kirk was the bridge that kept these two, let's just say, mended together until no more. Public records, Idaho lawmakers joined 50 states. One Israeli delegation funded and organized Israel's Minister of Foreign Affairs. Listen, email short coordination with U.S. advocacy group seeking to shape state policy, including anti-Semitism bills. Critics warn could curb free speech. This is, again, me talking about how much free speech do you have, ladies and gentlemen.
Share some recent public records requests that I did for some Idaho representatives that attended the 50 states, one nation delegation. They went to Israel on September 14th through the 18th. I just wrote an article about it because there's a lot of information, and I want people to be able to see these emails, because once you see these emails, it's very obvious there's an influence campaign happening to sway our legislators to pass laws that are favorable to Israel. So the name of the article is Idaho Legislators Rendezvous in Israel. Foreign state actors prepare American representatives to promote Israel during the next legislative session. And so the representatives from Idaho that went, the 5 are Representative Tanner, Representative Rubel, Ehart, Schertz, and Skog. I think I'm saying his name right. So they went to Israel on the 14th through the 18th of September. And I did email records requests on every representative. I did get, let's see, I got Ehart, Skog, and Schertz emails. And I read all of those, quite a few hundred pages of emails. And so I had a metric to compare it to. So I had to pay to receive Representative Rubel's emails, but it was worth it. As she's a Jewish Democrat, I suspected that she was largely behind this trip, which it appears that she is. And so in these emails, you can see, some of these players that are largely responsible for influence peddling our legislators is the Idaho-Israel Alliance, run by Moshe Herman and Dan Berger. And so they were sending emails to these representatives, and they were meeting with them on occasion before the trip, and it looks like after the trip. And
okay, I'm not going to play anymore. I dropped it in the chat. Understand, this is for when you have new members coming in. All right, they want to, they want to make sure that your allegiance, just like Mark Levin mentioned about the bureaucrats, we're going to beat you down until you submit to us, kind of what the apex scenario is. But this whole alliance and what it is set up is to continue to what? To, in some way, give money and donations to make sure that you are controlled. Okay? I don't want to say the word per se, but I think people understand. It's not even that. Make sure that you're touting a line and we'll pay you. That's basically it. They don't even have to blackmail you anymore. Okay? Maybe they do, but they don't. I think in this case, it's like, you're dangling the carrots in front of your eyes and stuff. And might be not that hard for certain people to want to take some money, especially if they need it.
And the sad thing is, Brett, it's our money.
Yep.
They're literally using our money, just like our money has been used for terrorist attacks over decades and our whole life. Well, it goes through there and it comes out there. It's all been, this whole thing has been coming through that particular area in the Middle East.
Right.
Using our money, because I think we give that country more money than any other country. Now, I could be wrong, but I do believe it is.
I think the last thing I saw was like 60 billion in the last like 3-4 years, some ridiculous amount of money.
Ton of money.
It's just, it's absolutely disgusting. And you wonder why. There's what people are saying. They call it the Nick right or the realist right or the Tucker right or whatever you want to call that right. That's why people are disgusted. We're giving money hand over fist. They could have free health care, but you're stuck with Obamacare and paying 3 times the amount of money. Or the illegals are saturating the market. That's why you have no food, but they got food.
And we pay for the
I think that's the point about the complete separation, divide, chasm of the Republican Party. All right, because most of the Republicans are not MAGA, ladies and gentlemen. They don't like President Trump. Give me one bill in the Senate right now that they passed, all right, while the government was shut down. They actually passed bills against his tariffs that would be sent back to the House so the House can vote on them, which they would be vetoed anyway. They wouldn't even make it to the front doorstep. But they, again, showed who they are. And the reason why we talked about why the filibuster is not happening, because they don't want President Trump's agenda to move forward. And everybody sees why. Because when Harry Reid did that whole thing with the judicial filibuster in 2013, President Trump comes into power in 2016, 2017, he gets 3 justices. They're like, no, we can't do that anymore. And who's the one who gave it to him? The turtle. And they realize now this is not a mistake. This is a huge mistake. They can't get the agenda passed, so they're waiting him out. This is more and more looking like them waiting him out. They're working with the Democrats in some way. That's why Trump's like, dude, play the Trump card. Throw it down. Let's go. Let's get that ace in the hole. They don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. And as much as these guys, they sit there and they beat their chest like, oh, it's all the Democrats' fault. It's all this stuff. Look, they can easily do this. They are scared because they know in some way if they don't maintain power and they lose it to the Democrats, everything's going to go completely flipped upside down. But you are in control now. You can pass good legislation now, single voted items, multiple items, but you choose not to. And eventually that's going to come to an end. All right, let me play this and then we'll move on with this discussion because I'm done. I already got a stomach ache from it. So here we are. All right, this Marshall sent me this. Why can't all white men like this be like this guy? He's unapologetically pro-white, names and hates the Jews, and he says how it is. This is exactly what is taking place. And then this is not even here in the United States.
We're going to stop caring about being called words. When? No matter how much people try and pander to the left, no matter how much we try and say, yeah, do you know what, bring the legal ones in, they're still going to be called a Nazi. Yeah. They're still going to be called far right. Yeah. All while this goes on, we're still being made a minority in our country. Yeah. So a group has to come along and rip the Band-Aid off and say, do you know what? They don't hate you because they think you're racist. They hate you because of who you are.
They don't care about your beliefs. They care that you're white. They hate you for being white. Yours. And you say you don't recognise their race. Well, I'll tell you something. They recognise yours.
Wow, that's impactful. And after the stabbing that took place that they had in Great Britain, I mean, how many people? 11, 12 stabbed by some Caribbean guy and some, I guess it was a black national, British guy, if you could say that. I don't know if that's, I don't know how that is. But apparently that was the case. And these 2 people were arrested. I don't know, like what, 11 people, 3 people critically injured. And then the night before, one of these people were stabbing people before. So they got a huge problem there. But this is how people are reacting. And they think it's just like here in the United States that there's some alt-right or Nick Wright or realist right or Tucker Wright that's happening, and it just is on this platform here in America. It's happening everywhere. It's because of the fact is you let the savages inside the gate. You opened the door, and now everybody is seeing it. You did it. And now we're holding you accountable by calling you out. You're actually exposing yourself because you're the ones who told us, everybody, that we're the ones who kicked you off all these platforms. We're the ones who told Zuckerberg and all these different groups on Telegram, on X, and all these platforms, kick them off. And then you use these companies like Media Matters and all these companies to debank, deplatform, destroy people's lives where they can't get a freaking Uber. My God, the lawsuits, they can't be big enough.
And you know who's enabling this, Brett? It's those people.
Right.
Those people are enabling this mass immigration. Mm-hmm. And there is a reason that the Israeli people call the Muslims their broom. Right. What do you think that means? It's not complicated.
Well, here you go. Here's an example of it. We're going to have an election tomorrow in New York for mayor. House Republicans in New York are exploring ways to prevent Mondami from being sworn in as a New York City mayor, a Ugandan jihadi.
There you go.
I don't know if he's a terrorist, but I would say jihadi, Marxist, communist, whatever. But the House Republicans are exploring ways to prevent Mondami from ever being sworn in as mayor if he prevails in Tuesday's election by using the U.S. Constitution's insurrection clause. How interesting. The Post has learned that New York Young Republican Club, all right, is pushing to prevent New York City mayoral frontrunner from taking the oath January 1st. How interesting. Under the idea floated this summer, it cites language in the post-Civil War 14th Amendment to the Constitution barring from office anyone who engaged in an insurrection or rebellion. Remember, that's what they were doing against President Trump. And that was cited in, I think, Clause 4. Between Clause 4 and Clause 5. They were mentioning that in per se, or maybe it's Clause 2 and Clause 3. The group argues that Mondami's own amendments call to resist ICE and could violate the prohibition. Interesting. This is a real and legitimate push to see the insurrectionist Zohan Mondami either removed from the ballot, removed from office if he's to win Tuesday. Stefano Forte, president of New York Young Republicans, told the Post, Republican lawmakers are keyed on the idea, considering rolling out legislation on it once the government shutdown ends. Why did you wait so long? I mean, why was it so long? In the same provision, Colorado used this to try and kick President Trump off the ballot. Yes, it wasn't just Colorado. I believe it was Maine, too. Maine or Vermont, one of those states up there did the same thing. The high court ruled that it was up to Congress to enforce the amendment, giving the majority of Republicans a chance. The proponents would like to see congressional vote on declaring Mondami ineligible, although he would mean getting through the narrow 219, 213 Republican House majority and overcoming a Senate filibuster. How interesting is that? It would also have to survive any court challenge removing a popular elected official, but it would create a political wedge that would force the Democrats to vote either for or against the socialists whom President Trump is eager to turn into a national foil for MAGA. Marshall, your thoughts about it? Let me look this up. I think it's the 14th Amendment under...
I saw a lot. I saw a number of videos.
Yeah.
Of the guys that are really pushing, and some powerful ones too.
Right.
That have the dual dreadlocks. You know,
oh,
the dual dreadlocks coming down on each side of their head, their face. Yeah. Oh, they're pushing hard. The guys over there, the Shekel fellows.
Yep.
But they're pushing for this guy.
I
said before.
Yeah, it is Section 3. It's Section 2 and Section 3. That's what they're going to use. That's what they tried to use against President Trump. Exactly.
Who do they use as their broom? The Muslims.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what is happening in New York. And you know what? I'm sure you know this, Brett, but a lot of you guys out there might not. There is a ton of other cities and towns where the same shit is happening.
Oh, yeah. It's not just New York. Minneapolis.
It's everywhere.
Minneapolis. It's everywhere. You got it. It's going on in Texas.
We've got to have legislation, Brett, in my opinion.
I think so. I mean, honestly, this whole thing, them just sweeping in through Dearborn, Michigan wasn't a one-off. I can tell you right now, they've been monitoring that for a long time. So Trump backtracks on attending the Supreme Court. Now, he said about 2-3 weeks ago, he was going to attend this to look the justices in the face. This is a serious thing. I discussed this yesterday on the tariff. The Supreme Court is going to handle this, hear this case, I think Thursday or Friday. I think on the 7th. I think they're going to hear this very soon. All right. And the argument is about the tariffs. All right. Now, listen, if you're going to bring the whole system down, crashing down, what better way to do it? The Supreme Court says we take up these arguments and they vote to what? To nullify his tariffs. Then the whole system comes crashing down. All those trade deals are done. We go bankrupt. We go into a post-depression world. I mean, it will solidify precipitously. It will be a crash. And I think in some way that is, so I saw some people making that argument. If this is exactly how we're supposed to build our country back and make it better, is to what? Bring the whole debt system crashing down. What do you think President Trump is taking all these tariffs in and forcing all these people so the Treasury buys up the debt? That is the key. That's what he's doing. So I don't know if they're being forced in some way and they can't do it. The question is, what's the odds on favorite, the percentage that they're going to basically say, hey, look, it's going to be 6-3, 5-4. I said most likely to be 5-4 with a majority opinion. All right. But, it could go against President Trump easily as we think it would go against. But it's the old prevailing argument. Do you want the whole system to come crashing down? Well, the only way to do it is for what? These tariffs did not go through. You're already seeing preambles of the Senate already basically nullifying him, Canada, and the worldwide tariffs overall, which are not going to do anything. Marshall, your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly, I think we are in for a major shift in the whole financial setup.
I think
everything is, what do they do? The Fed, I think the Fed is getting ready to go. At some point, it's going to go. We're going to.
Well, is it possible that Powell was purposely, let's just say, being purposely doing? President Trump put him in there. I mean, is it all psyop that Powell isn't working for President Trump in some way, or he's controlling him to hold back all these? Let's just say lowering the interest rates for a reason. Let's just say that, throw that out there, that he's doing this and waiting until January.
I think
for something else to happen.
I think it's all delayed for a complete shift in the whole financial setup.
Yeah, I think it's all being held back for a reason.
The IRS is going to be gone at some point.
Well, the IRS has now been. Now there's a good swath of these thousands of IRS agents have now been pulled under the DHS authority, and now they're going to be tasked with going after criminal illegal aliens. How interesting! Because of all the fake Social Security cards, all this other stuff that's taking place. Trump suggested in October that he would have visited the arguments, but fate of his wide-ranging tariffs would affect the imports from nearly every country in the world. So the president said that if he loses the case, the United States will be weakened, troubled, financial mess in many, many years. President Trump recently suggested that the Supreme Court on Wednesday for arguments in the case that will determine the fate. I will not be going to the court. I do not want to distract the importance of the decision. It will be, in my opinion, one of the most important consequential decisions. Look, we will be weakened, troubled, financial mess for many, many years. That's why I think it's going to the Supreme Court to watch, Trump said. Okay, look, you could play it from both sides of the argument here, both sides of the coin, and say, all right, look, this is all theatrics. You already know they're going to come back with a result. Now, the question is, what's the result? Are we to say just haphazardly that it's going to happen in this fashion, 6-3, 7-1, blah, 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 or is it going to be tighter than we think? Or they actually say, no, your tariffs are illegal, which will be shocking in some way. It will be shocking because there's legal precedent on the books to showcase that tariffs are legitimate, let's just say, substitution for taxes. And the president has his Article 2 powers, his right to what? Enforce economic policy. So would it be a bridge too far to say that they would be interfering with President Trump's presidential powers in some way, his plenary powers? It's possible. How far do they want to overstep on that? The reasonable, logical thing is that they're going to come back with a ruling in favor of him. But that doesn't always mean what we think it is, Marshall.
Yeah, that is going to be, what is it? You said it's Thursday?
They'll hear the arguments Wednesday. I think Friday we'll have a decision.
Well, it's definitely a big one. And I agree with you. I do think they are going to side with Trump on this one.
Right. Okay.
You know, and just continue on. And there's so much that's going on. And it's only been 10 months into his presidency, bro.
Right.
10 months. That is
10 months. 10
it's
months.
Amazing.
And people,
Think
and they're
about
already talking, and they're all talking about who's going to be the next president in 2028.
Ridiculous.
I mean, it's so ridiculous but at least the 22nd Amendment debate is on the table. I think by putting that on the table and getting people to understand that there are going to be possibly ways around and understand that what it does, it hampers the American public from electing a president to whom they want, not someone they're forced to take. That is the key of understanding what the 22nd Amendment is. It hampers and restricts democracy. It makes and breaks a republic. Hogley, gift of the cookie. DJT told Americans that the worst of the worst of immigrants are here. Have a plan, folks. Yep. Actually, this is going to blow your mind. So we're going to get into some of what you're suggesting. Hogley, we're going to talk about President Trump going to pay half the snaps for a little bit. But listen to this. This is going to blow your mind. There are approximately 3,280,000 households in Los Angeles County. Nearly 1 million households in LA County are on EBT. Holy shit. USDA and county data show 31% of LA County is on food stamps. That's 1 in every 3 houses you're paying for. My God. Let's play this.
National Food Bank has set up temporary food relief for families and individuals whose SNAP benefits have been affected by the government shutdown. Now, 2 U.S. judges yesterday did order the Department of Agriculture to release contingency funding to restart the SNAP benefits. But those funds may not reach families who are hungry for up to a week.
SNAP CalFresh benefits are not going out. We have nearly 1 million households in Los Angeles County that rely on CalFresh benefits. So this is the first of many large-scale distributions. So here we have volunteers, over 120 volunteers, who are all lined up to distribute frozen chicken, shelf-stable food items, pantry items, yogurt, carrots, potatoes, apples.
Our elected officials are letting us down because, you know, we vote and put these people in office, and they tend to get a personal vendetta going with each other and forget about the main thing, which is the people.
We'll be serving 5,000 households, and we do expect that we will run out of food, sadly. There are other food pantries throughout Los Angeles County that we partner with that are also distributing food today. There's distributions pretty much every day in the week throughout Los Angeles County.
You can read more about the Los Angeles Regional Food.
How is that even possible? I mean, honestly, it's just, that's absolutely insane that 1 million people, or at least get out of the 3.2 million people that live there in LA County, 1 million people are on, that's out of the 41.2 million people that are on food stamps that we know, whether it's legit or not, Marshall. My God, it's disgusting. It never ends. And I'll show you why. I'm going to bring this in. I see you. Let's see who was there. Trump won. Thank you so much for the cookie. Just drive-by gold piling. Okay. All right. Here we go. Yeah, no, dog. Congress began delegating tariff power to the president in 1934, Reciprocal Tariff Trade Agreements Act. This act gave the president, FDR, the ability to adjust tariffs up to 50%. Yes, that's one parcel of precedent. There's actually lawsuits on the books that the precedent, that set precedents of with the tariff narrative in some way. Agricultural Secretary Rollins exposes SNAP corruption. I'm just going to read the bottom of the part. Day 1 of USDA Federal 13, we sent letters to every governor in America being very clear that no illegal aliens can use SNAP. We asked every state for that first time in history, this was in February, to send us the data back. Let us, with Doge and a war room, actually start going through this data to better understand how this explosion of SNAP benefits happened under Joe Biden. Almost increased by 40%. on the program in just a couple of years. How is that possible? Under Biden administration, of course, we know that they were trying to buy the election, but that's a conversation for another time. And since we've asked for the data of 29 states that have compiled, of course, almost all the red states, couple, the couple blue states, listen to this, but in that data, I've talked about this publicly. In that data, we found that we studied $100 billion in SNAP. We found thousands and thousands of illegal use of EBT cards. We've been moving people off SNAP. We almost got 700,000 people. I think we moved off since President took office. We've arrested about 118 people so far. But Rachel, to your point, this is Brooke Rollins saying this, conversation has allowed a national spotlight on a broken, corrupt system. We found one guy in 6 different states getting benefits. We found about 5,000 people that are dead still getting benefits. Like it is time to drastically reform this program, that you can make sure that those who are truly needy, truly vulnerable, are getting what they need, and the rest of the corruption goes away, and we could serve the American taxpayer. On my first day at USDA, we were told every state would send the SNAP data back. We could make sure illegal immigrants aren't getting benefits meant for American families. 29 states stepped up, 21 blue states refused, and 2 sued for asking. Can you believe that? Wow. Here we are. I mean, this is the divided states of America. 29 stepped up, 21 blue states said no, and the 2 of them had the audacity to sue for asking questions. My God. Now, I'm not saying that people are divided per se, but I think it's the people that control these city-states, fiefdoms, they got to go. All of them. My God, you don't want to send us the data, we're going to come and arrest you. That's what it should be. We're going to get subpoenas, or we're going to subpoena your records, and if you don't do it, what? We're going to arrest you for obstruction. I mean, this has become so ridiculous that it reaches the point of what? And here we go right now. President Trump, let's see if I get this.
I want to say something, Brett. I got to beat this to it like a dead horse. Our system is broken. The immigration system is completely broken.
Yeah.
Over 50% of legal immigrants are on some form of welfare.
Mm-hmm.
Does that work for you? It doesn't work for me. I thought we were supposed to be bringing people in that were legally in here to come and work and create a better life. Yeah. They have to be based on merit to get in here.
Well, that's why you have an alt-right. That's why you have a Nick right. That's why you have a Reals right. That's why you have a Tucker right. This is exactly why the base of the Republican Party is garbage. They're anti-Trump. They're not MAGA. Their division of that MAGA, or Make Israel First Again, that wing of that party, that's done. Okay? The more that party loses its grip as everything slips through, the alt-right, the Nick right, the Tucker right, that whole X-right, whatever that is that's moving, it's going to what? It's going to continue to fracture. It's going to ascend. It's going to blow this whole party up in a lot of different ways. And what's going to be left in between? Okay? There are people going to have different prevailing viewpoints, how they see things in general. We all don't like this welfare state we live in, all right? And that's because why? I talked to you yesterday about explaining this super minority majority that operates in the Senate because of these stupid rules and the cloture that they can't come together and what? Just drop the filibuster, end it, and get these bills moving. And then maybe we could fix our problems with SNAP and everything else. But here, Trump administration will pay 50% of food stamp benefits, which is, I think it's disgusting. But he has no choice in November amid the shutdown. Is this a capitulation? I'm not sure. I think what he's saying is simply, look, they're not willing to bend. They're not willing to give in. So let me pay for it, look like the good guy, while they continue to stonewall. And maybe they will wait for their guy who gets elected or selected in New York, and then they'll whatever. But at least I'm willing to do this. How long is this going to continue? SNAP provides foods for 42 million Americans. The administration declined the option. U.S. District Court Judge Jack McConnell is suggesting to make the full November payments for SNAP benefits by using money from the Child Nutrition Program. The Trump administration told a Rhode Island federal judge on Monday that it would tap billions of dollars in contingency funds to pay 50% of the normal amount. The supplemental nutrition provides for 42. The administration court filing told Judge McConnell declined the option, suggested make the full payment, the benefits at least $4 billion. Instead, the administration will use $4.65 billion remaining from a contingency fund from SNAP. McConnell, in a ruling Friday, said the administration could not cease paying SNAP benefits before his order. The administration had rejected the idea using contingency funds. Prior to presidential administrations, including the first one, Donald Trump had used contingency funds to continue paying SNAP benefits during the government shutdowns. Okay, so it's done in the past. It's not clear where the benefits will begin being paid. In the following month, the administration said the Department of Agriculture will fulfill its obligation to expand the full amount of SNAP. Okay, so, I mean, they're not going to get the full amount. So I don't know what it's going to be. $190 a person. We don't know what it's going to be. And also, here's the thing. If this federal judge is requiring this Trump administration to do this, is this going to go to an appeals court? I mean, are they going to appeal it? Or are they just going to poo-poo it for now and see what the Democrats do? Thea gifted the cookie. And the phone, thank you so much. Thank you, Trump one, for the cookie. Hogley gifted the can. Thea gifted the shades. Curious Cat gifted the cookie. Thank you all. If you want to help out, MarshallKofi.com/SwiftDog74. Please hit the bell. Let us know when the show goes notified. You can help us out on Rumble as well. We're on YouTube. All I ask is subscribe over there. I see you, Nah Dog. You're over there on YouTube as well. That's good. How you liking? Is it crystal clear over there? It stated that Cali gets 90% of their SNAP reimbursed. So like $10 bill. Is this the sum for every state? If Fed dollars, reimburse these states that aren't required to give the records. See, that's the problem. We don't know because 21 states have decided not to give their records. 2 are suing. I bet you one of them is California. I guarantee you that one's California. But that's the point. You just don't know. And that's the problem we face here. All right.
Well, Brett, the biggest lie in that MSNBC article was $42 million are on SNAP. 42 million Americans are on SNAP. That is a freaking lie. It's about 20 million. Okay, because the other half, or about 17 or 18 million, are illegal immigrants. They're not even Americans. So you're going to tell me, 42. Now, if you took away them and you took all those benefits away, what would happen to the other Americans that are actually on it that are legitimate? They would get an increase more than likely or some amount. So that's, they're lying to us left and right, man. It's disgusting.
Duffy warns air travel delays only going to continue to worsen. I mean, we got Thanksgiving coming up in a couple of weeks. Is this going to impact Thanksgiving? 13,000 air traffic controls now missing more than a month of pay. At major hubs for Los Angeles to Dallas, it's likely just the beginning. Duffy's warning. Transportation Secretary Duffy warned travelers that they will see more disruptions. I think the real consequence is what kind of rolling delays do you have throughout the system? We've seen problems at LAX, Dallas, DC, Boston, and Atlanta. Those are the biggest hubs out there. I think it's only going to get worse. We have some controllers who are new controllers. Oh, that's great. We have a trainee controllers who are very helpful in the tower. They don't make a lot of money, and they are now confronted. They haven't had a paycheck in a month. They've confronted with the decision, do I put food on the kids' table? Do I put gas in the car? Do I pay my rent? Or do I go to work and not get paid? That's it. And who's doing this? It's not President Trump and the Republicans. They're not the ones who shut down the government. This is exactly why I don't want to get on a plane. Don't want to get on a plane. You shouldn't want to go on a plane either. And let's just say for the most logical reason, or for all the delays, the busiest time of the year for traveling is coming up in 3 weeks. There is no way in hell you can get me on a plane. I don't care if you paid for it, luxury class, business class, overseas. Don't do it. I won't do it. That's why you have a car. Sausage Launcher, what's up? How you feeling? Are you doing better? How's life going? Okay. Did they find out what the pain was? Hope you're doing well, my friend. Trump one gifted a cookie. Thank you so much. Wood USA dropping 517 gold pills. Need more gold pill love support. Boy Stream, thank you so much for always being there. Appreciate it. Aloha, Mom. I see you. Crystal clear in the tube. Good. Subscribe over there, please. Let me know how it is. Let me know how you're liking it. I'm glad. What's up, Troglodyte? I see you. No dog, as my mom used to say, wish one in the hand and shit in the other to see which fills up fast. That's a good one. I like it. Okay, moving on.
You seen the lines in the airports already? The lines are massive.
Well, they're not showing it.
They're like 20 people deep.
Yeah.
Like
they're not
wide.
Yeah. They're not
and
showing.
They're like hundreds long. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. So this is the big one. Stephen Crowder put this out. We all heard what the BBC did. I have some articles on this. We'll cover this. CBS News is so confident. We'll talk about the BBC thing, but this is what CBS is so confident that their version of the 60-minute Trump interview, they shouldn't panic when people see the full. Sunlight is the best disinfectant.
And all we're saying, give us an extension. We'll work it out. They've lost their way. They become crazed lunatics. And all they have to do, Nora, is
yesterday. This is what they aired.
Let's vote.
So, Hakeem,
Senate Democrats say they will vote to reopen the government if Republicans agree to extend subsidies for over 20 million Americans who use Obamacare for their health insurance.
All we're saying, give us an extension. We'll work it out. They've lost their way. They become crazed lunatics. And all they have to do, Nora, is say, let's vote. And you can open, the economy could open up during our interview.
Is there something you can do, though? Is there something you can do to bring this to an end?
All I can do is give the facts. Here's what I can't do. I can't give them $1.5 trillion so that they can give welfare to people that came into our country illegally, so that prisoners and that people from mental institutions and people that are drug dealers get vast amounts of money for health care. That I can't do.
Wow. I understand, and there are some examples in this interview where they just omitted some portion of the interview. They have to edit it down for time. I get that. But in some cases, you get it. You go, okay, maybe this subject repeated themselves, or maybe it wasn't relevant to the question asked. In this case, Donald Trump is listing the reason for the shutdown. And by the way, that reflects popular opinion now, in spite of the legacy media, not because of the legacy media, where they blame the Democrats for it. But you do have people in this country who go, we've shut down the government because of Republicans, because of Donald Trump. They want to shut this down. Mm-hmm. They don't know about this at all. You wonder why you have two different Americas? Well, maybe look to legacy journalism, and you have an answer.
And that's the point. Legacy journalism is the one that continues the lie, the narrative that is basically in bed with the establishment Republicans, the establishment Democrats, the lefties, the progressives in general. They're the ones towing this line and making sure they do everything. If they just would want to do what? Do the filibuster and move forward. But they don't want to help Trump's agenda. They're all scum. They're all scum. They're not there for you and I. They don't care about you and I. It's the reason why nothing gets done. Something has to come to an end. And hopefully it will. Maybe we see a lot of this. Maybe the government just doesn't open up and it all comes crashing down. It is what it is.
Could be.
I mean,
right,
I'm not going to argue that it's not.
You might be right, man.
I mean, I'm not going to say it's not. Hold on a second. Oh, what's going on? All right, I want to show you this. So the BBC. Let me get back into this. Is it not going to let me? I guess not. Son of a bitch. Well, then I'll just play it. I'm not going to read it. I'll just read it and not play it. I don't care. It's fine. You got to buy the cookies. I'm not buying cookies. Please accept cookies for content. Whatever. Bullshit. I should have used the Independent, but I like this article. That's the problem with, I like to research many different articles that are under the radar per se. But, you should probably stick to the ones that don't require this. So an internal memo from Michael Prescott, who served as independent external advisor for the BBC Guidelines and Standards Committee. And regarding Panorama's program on January 6th, the spliced together version of Trump's comments aired on Panorama made it seem like we're going to walk down to the Capitol and I'll be with you and we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. In reality, the first part of Trump's speech, we're going to walk down to the Capitol and I'll be with you, came 15 minutes into his speech. The second half of the sentence was aired by Panorama and we fight. We fight like hell. And came 54 minutes later. So they cut and spliced it. They put it together. They made we're going to go there. We're going to storm the Capitol and 5, Capitol police are going to get hurt and we're going to blow this whole thing up. Didn't happen. 15 minutes in the speech, Trump actually said, we're going to walk down to the Capitol and I'll be with you. I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. It was completely misleading to edit the clip in a way Panorama aired it. The fact that they did not explicitly exhort supporters to go down and fight at the Capitol Hill was one of the reasons why there were no federal charges for the incitement to riot. I can't play it. I don't know why it's not. It's just bugging out. Maybe I'll show it another day on the Independent, or I'll get the WLT. At least I'm not bugged from there. Marshall, pretty shocking in general to understand that, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising. It just, yeah, I'm seeing the comments.
This is part of the awakening of January 6th.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, the whole thing was a freaking lie.
Right.
I mean, everybody, so many.
It was a setup. It was a setup.
Yeah, it was completely planned.
From Pelosi, Director Wray, Capitol Police, you name it.
There was fake cops. Remember the bearded guy?
The
that
fake
she
cops.
hired,
You had FBI was involved. 200 plus FBI confidential handlers.
It was so disgusting. They had all those FBI people in the crowds to induce all this shit. They beat that poor girl to death in that tunnel.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know.
I mean, most people don't know that, Brett.
Yep.
I mean, can you imagine your own country here in America doing that to somebody in a part of the Capitol that's like kind of a tunnel right outside the Capitol? And they beat her to death.
Yep.
The cops beat her to death, and nobody know. Most people don't even know that. And she was screaming for her life.
Nancy Pelosi won't seek re-election to the House leadership role. It's a good thing. I'm just saying with great confidence in our caucus, I will not seek re-election to the Democratic leadership in the next Congress. Well, good for you.
My friends, no matter what title you all, my colleagues, have bestowed upon me, Speaker, Leader, Whip, there is no greater official honor for me than to stand on this floor and to speak for the people of San Francisco. This I will continue to do as a member of the House, speaking for the people of San Francisco, serving the great state of California, and defending our Constitution.
Got her glass behind
and with great confidence in our caucus, I will not seek re-election to Democratic leadership in the next Congress. For me, the hour's come for a new generation to lead the Democratic caucus that I so deeply respect. And I'm grateful.
She makes me sick. She makes me sick. She's always drunk.
She said,
honestly, dude, after a certain age point, you probably shouldn't be drinking, right? I mean, at least you shouldn't be drinking like vodka. You know what I'm saying? Which is like, well, I mean, there's a certain, what is she, 85 years old? I mean, how is she at 85 years old able to freaking be that drunk and not fall down?
Carrying around a hammer.
Yes, no, dog. Roseanne Boylan. Yes, that's her name. That's her name.
That was terrible what they did to her, man.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
and people tried to save her, and those people that tried to save her, what happened? They were arrested. They're
probably still in prison right now.
Exactly. Well, no, I don't know.
Talking about a communist fucking damn.
Okay, let's get into let's move gears. Let's move gears quick. All right. So glad to see she's gone. But here's the thing: what we should be concerned about. Will she drop out before next year? She'll be gone by next year and say, "Hey, Gavin Newsom, please appoint my daughter to take over my seat in an interim while we have an election." And so we'll have to have a special election. Is she going to do that? Keep an eye on that. I'm not saying that's going to happen. Okay? I'm not saying that's going to happen. But that could happen. That's what these people do. But are they totally in control? Are they fully in control? All right, this comes from Raw Story. Now, there was one on Independent and other stuff. I'll just put this one. Basically, baseless attacks. Kash Patel lashed out at cowardly critics of his girlfriend. There's a whole thing regarding him flying on a plane. I'm going to read it. Okay. Let me drop out. Okay. FBI director on Sunday lashed out at critics of his 26-year-old girlfriend, claiming the attacks were cowardly and jeopardizes our safety. Both Patel and his girlfriend, country music singer-songwriter Alexis Wilkins, came under fire Saturday after reports revealed that Patel used his FBI jet to attend a music event of hers. Wilkins had also faced scrutiny from the MAGA base, some who have accused her, without evidence, of being a secret Israel spy. The criticism didn't sit well with Patel, apparently, who on social media launched into a tirade against those attacking Wilkins. Let me just stop right there. As for him using his plane, It's in the Congress as a mandate that the FBI director has to use the plane. Back last year, I think it was 23 or 24, you had Senator Chuck Grassley from Iowa interviewing or asking questions to Director Wray. Director Wray said, we have to keep this short because I got to dip out to the Adirondacks. All right. And he was asked, are you going to take the FBI jet? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, I'm mandated to take it. In Congress has wrote that up. And then when he came back, he was interviewed by House members saying, you know, you take this jet everywhere. And he goes, well, change the law. So in defense and short-sightedness of people who don't realize that that just happened last year and a couple of times thereafter, that House members had interviewed Director Wray. Corrupt son of a bitch. Yes, he was probably involved. Had his hand in January 6th. No doubt about it. But let me say that. It's mandated in Congress. They wrote a law in there that he has to take the jet from place to place to place. So if they want to change it, then change it. But I remember that so succinctly because I went back to look at that, and I saw Grassley interviewing him saying, yeah. And he goes, you're going to take the FBI jet? He goes, yeah, I have no choice. So in his defense on that. Now, as for this whole thing being an Israeli spy, I don't know. We know Kyle Seraphin, he was deposed about this. He's being sued about calling her an Israeli spy. I don't know, but it gets a little worse. Very savage with time cruelty whispers as Deal's Dems keep shut down the spotlight. Listen to this in a second because I'm going to get into that. Criticize me all you want, but going after the people doing great work, personal life, and those around me is a total disgrace, Patel wrote in social media. The disgustingly baseless attacks against Alexis, a true patriot, and the woman I'm proud to call my partner in life are beyond pathetic. She's a rock-solid conservative and the country music sensation who has done more for the nation than most will do in 10 lifetimes. I'm so blessed she's in my life. Attacking her isn't wrong. It's cowardly. It jeopardizes our society, our safety. Patel went on to criticize not just Wilkins, the critics of those who hadn't come to her defense, calling them supposed allies. Our silence is louder than clickbait haters. Critics quickly pounce on Patel's statement, warning people not to criticize or attack his girlfriend, including MAGA's own Candace Owens, the far-right conservative influencer who floated conspiracy theories. As prominent tech billionaires are not being human and instead hybrids. Interesting. I don't care about Alexis one way or another, but I want to point out that the head of the FBI is tweeting out in defense of his girlfriend. Owens wrote in social media on X Sunday, not a wife, but a girlfriend. We're just not that serious. We're just not a serious nation whatsoever. Okay. I mean, look, let me just say this too. She was tweeting out also not too recently in some way regarding that she had information that we're going to be attacked, that we're going to have some false flags or terrorist attacks and stuff like that. And people like, well, how would you know that? Is your boyfriend telling you this? Or are you what people suspect you are? Some type of honeypot, a plant. I'm not saying that. I don't know the truth. I don't want to get sued, and I don't really care at this point. But it seems odd that she would say that to put that out as baseless unless she's trying to psyop you in some way. Hey, put this out there and say this in some way so people will continue to ratchet up that you're a honeypot and that you work for Mossad and you're there to blah, blah, blah. That's one element. Or the other element, she either is or isn't, and this is still a psyop to convince you one way or another. Also, they don't like the fact that the plane is being tracked. And he's pushing back about that. But in defense of Kash Patel and only this critical argument, I will say that what? Yes, what the F about Kash? I'll only say this in defense. He is mandated by the Congress. It's written in law. They put this in the books. Even Chris Wray talked about this to multiple congressmen and senators saying, hey, change the law if you don't want me to fly in this freaking plane. Now, I think it's a new plane. That's a very expensive plane. But if you don't want the director of the FBI being forced to go on this government plane in some way because he has secrets, he's the FBI director in some way, well, and you don't want him flying commercial, then what other option do you have? So with that, I'll move aside on that. Marshall, your thoughts? Everything else, I think, is hearsay and it's conjecture. And I'm not going to go with the ruminations of saying this or that. I don't know one way or another. And if I told you one way or another, I would be lying to you. I don't know. I think though, there is some psyop going involved in there, and her putting out statements like that to trip people up and to attack. But as for him flying on a plane, he has to fly in that plane. Apparently, it's the law. He has to fly in that plane.
I'm a little bit more concerned about her.
Yeah.
You know, she's a country singer. She's got all the things. So I'm suspicious there. But the plane.
Well, he was dating her before he became.
Okay. All right. And that's fine. And I don't know either. About all that. And as far as the plane goes, it's another ballroom. That's all this is. It's a ballroom. And it's just the same thing that they're complaining about.
Well, Troglodyte says here, the FBI shouldn't be allowed to date foreigners. She's not a foreigner. She's American citizen, as far as we know. She's an American country singer. She lived in Nashville for a long time. I don't know if she is or isn't. That's the point. She wasn't born in the United States. Can you show me some stuff of that? If you have stuff, show it to me. I want to see it. I'll look it up and see. But I'm under the impression that she is. But I guarantee you right now, if you're right about that in some way, yeah, Tracer C4, he's a snake, Kyle Seraphin. Yeah, I don't believe him at all. She came from Armenia. That's right. Right. I think so. But is she American citizen, though? I think she is an American citizen. She, in some way. I think her family came here, and was she American citizen born here or not? Okay. We'll look that up and see. I don't know what it is per se, but you got to imagine that if that's true, that the NSC or other agencies are looking into that back. I mean, there's got to be some way. Come on, they know everything. The CIA, NSA, all these agencies, they know your spouse. They know whatever. Speaking of spouses, let's get into this one. This somehow made a big deal on X. And I don't know why the WLT report put this up. Thomas Massie marries a former Rand Paul staffer 1 year after his wife's death. Okay. Is this a sign he will run in 2028? Thomas Massie announced on X that he remarried a year after his wife of 35 years passed away. A lot of people are like, the libertarian who had blasted as a loser by President Trump confirmed Monday that he wed Caroline Grace Moffa, a former staffer of Rand Paul. And of course, raw milk was served at the wedding. Paul and Reps Jim Jordan, Warren Davidson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Victory Sparks all attended the October thing. Massey's late wife, the mother of 4 children, Rhonda Massey, died in June 2024. The cause of death was never made public. How about that? We don't know what happened to her. Okay. Caroline Grace Moffa and I met professionally over a decade ago when she worked for Senator Rand Paul. Were they having an affair? Was it illicit enough? Did his wife take her life? I don't know what happened. I'm just throwing that out there and spitballing. I mean, less is more, but when you have less is more, the more that all the stuff spins up. Is this much ado about nothing? She even listed me as my late wife, Rhonda, on a grass-fed cattle from several years ago. Caroline is not previously married, posted on X. Okay. Some people are saying fun facts about our wedding, of course, serve raw milk, blah, blah, VIPs. Yeah, he's running for president. Look, they're saying that it's only been a year or something like that he got married. Is this a honeypot? See, I think there's a lot of like commentary that in some way blew up. See, here's another Tucker Carlson show. Others very vocally came out. He was against the Federal Reserve and against AIPAC. So, I mean, I don't know who this person was. She was a staffer for Rand Paul. Maybe she's vetted. Maybe she's not. I don't know. But do you think in some way this is a big deal or not? Let's just say the obvious thing, because he wants to run for president in 2028. Okay, but whether he gets married now a year later or 2 years from now, what's the difference? I mean, does it change anything per se? Is that really an excuse to say he's running for president? I mean, why put this out in some way to suggest, yeah, she is a citizen born in Mass, but she grew up in Switzerland and Armenia. Gotcha, Troglodyte. I'll look into it. It's a globalist BS. Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, I could see where there could be a foreign entanglement. You can't say she wasn't vetted. Is she a Monica Lewinsky, Thea? You know, I mean, speaking about Massey, yeah, I don't know what the big deal is. But I mean, His wife's death, about a year ago, was just all of a sudden. No one wants to talk about it. They didn't want to bring it out.
Reminds me of Joe Scarborough.
Yes, it does remind me of Joe Scarborough.
And he did the same things in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, he got hooked up with Nikki or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we are. And this guy, he's anything but MAGA.
Yeah.
He's anything but a conservative.
No.
The guy's a piece of shit.
No. That's
and all
the
of
point.
a sudden he gets what do they call it? He gets a makeover.
Mm-hmm.
Like a couple of years ago, he got a makeover, and all of a sudden he's all Hollywood.
It doesn't even look like him.
He's all Hollywood now, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's what's President Trump say all the time? What's that thing? You're what is it? Center state? What's that thing with that statement he says? Central casting. Central casting.
He's a real butte clock.
Yeah, he's central casting. Thank you, Thea, for the cookie. But yeah, I mean, so is it a big deal or not? I don't know. I just thought people were making it a big deal that you have news articles about this.
It's very suspicious.
It's just odd in some way. Unsettling, a new poll from Politico. There we go. Most Americans believe a political candidate will be assassinated in the coming years. Wow. This is foreshadowing. This is projection. Political candidate will be assassinated in the next 5 years. Just an alarming large slice of the American public said they believe political violence is justified. The grim expectation a candidate will be killed, one of the few issues most Democrats and Republicans agree on. More than half of Americans say that it is very or somewhat likely that a political candidate gets assassinated in the next 5 years, Politico wrote. The view cuts across party lines with the agreement from 51% of last year's Donald Trump voters and 53% of Americans who voted for Vice President Kamala Harris. The poll conducted between the 18th and the 21st of October included 2,051 American adults who surveyed online. It happened a little more than a month after conservative influencer Charlie Kirk was shot and killed. Politico found 55% of Americans believe political violence will increase in the near future. About 50% of Trump supporters and 61% of Harris voters feel this way. White Americans were the Democrat most likely to believe political violence will happen. Well, that's obvious. Older respondents tended to be less optimistic with 61%. Yeah. I wonder why that is. Respondents age 55 and older saying they expected violence to increase, 49%. Ages 18 to 34 and 53% between 35 and 54 felt violence would jump. Let me say this. If there is going to be something like that, I wouldn't be surprised they sacrifice one of their own at the altar, so to speak. Pardon the pun. Because that would ramp up.
Yep.
That would ramp up the violence. Because you didn't see people burning streets down when Charlie Kirk was murdered, assassinated, and all that stuff is still hanging out in the wind. And look how fast that thing just, was swept up. And now his court trial won't be until sometime late January of next year. I have a feeling right now they are going to lay someone at the altar for that reason and then use that to pivot and riot. Absolutely. So I do believe that there will be, but it's going to come from one of their own on the left side, whatever side that is. I don't even know what that is. One of their own that they're going to sacrifice, so to speak. I think so. I think that is most likely what's going to be realistic because that will be the way they can gin up the violence even more or give them a reason to gin up the violence even more, Marshall.
So in other words, they will be willing to go ahead and pull a Hannibal directive, which means they will use one of their own to kill their own people to blame the other side.
Oh, yeah.
Which is what Israel does all the time.
Right. Good example. All right. So here's the thing. So Barry Weiss, she's the new CBS. Let's just say she's running CBS. At the same time, CBS is slammed with the layoffs, awkward number, circling around halls of Tiffany Network. Page 6 hears, let me blow this up more. I don't know why it's not. Okay. It says page 6 hears that as staffers watch colleagues pack up their desks, they're also learning that the security detail for the new CBS news boss, Barry Weiss, costs the company 5 figures every day. Insiders tell us 8 bodyguards surround the Free Press founder at all times. And she's shuttled around in a caravan of SUVs, much like the president and vice president. We're told that Barry costs $10,000 daily. Let me ask you something. Why is the new, I guess, president of CBS News this guarded and protected? Why is this bagel with so much cream cheese, so much smoked salmon, so much capers, with the onboard of Paramount, what's it, Sky something that's coming in? Why does she have so much detail? But the leak comes as struggling network lost 100 staffers that leveled at the storied news organization, right up to Lisa Ling, one-time View co-host, once announced the week that she's been long ago as a contributor. Barry Weiss, I trying to understand why this person. There are even rumors Gayle King, the network's highest paid, could be out. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. They got to afford this person. So why is she, the one-time New York Times opinion writer, took over a news division, once home to Walter Cronkite, Dan Rather, Edward Murrow are among the news greats. In early October, after CBS's parent company, Paramount, bought the Substack newsletter Free Press and appointed her to the position that Skydance and the merger of Skydance. I don't understand. Can someone explain? Ooh, I just saw this. Weiss had been a staunch Zionist, which one presumes is the reason for heavy security, especially at the assassination of fellow media personality Charlie Kirk. Wow. Okay. Maybe that's a good explanation. Do you think that's a good, plausible, logical explanation? I mean, Charlie Kirk had his own thing. She's not going to college campuses in these open door forums. Okay. She's being trucked around to go to these facilities and buildings and inside things. She's not outside talking to people at venues to college kids.
Yeah, this lady is very suspicious. I mean, I don't trust this thing.
Is it just a natural response, or what do you think?
The whole thing is no, it's not. And I don't trust this thing. I watched this lady take over CBS and how they brought this all in and did all this. It is very, it's really obvious what they're doing.
Yeah,
Brett. I mean, it's the same thing that they have done with TPUSA.
Yeah, Troglodyte's right. It's always the second assassination is the big spark. Yes, that's what I've been saying. I've been saying that quite a bit, that I do believe that's where it's going to come. Barry Weiss, CA, Operation Mockingbird lightly. Yeah, 100%. And also backed by a certain contingent of a certain state actor. Let's just put it that way. I guess not saying I know, but she's at the center of most propaganda. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So it would, yes, it makes sense in what you're saying. And also what we're fashioning the idea, it's because they're using the argument what happened to Charlie Kirk. But my point is that who's targeting her? You know what I'm saying?
Nobody.
Unless what I was saying earlier, she would be a prime example of what I was suggesting.
The Hannibal,
what Marshall said, that to ratchet this up. But would she be the
Kill
prime
your own
figure?
People and blame
yeah, I
the
mean,
others.
would she be a prime figure though for that? I mean, no one probably knows who she is.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to have somebody. I think they're on the left. They're going to sacrifice their own. You know, I'm not advocating violence. I'm just suggesting based upon what the media suggested, and I'm going based upon their polling. But I would suggest that I would think that would be more someone from the left for that to turn this whole thing around. Thea donated 900 gold pills. Thank you so much. And the cookie. What's up, Salsa Launcher? Thank you for the cookie. Like, share, and subscribe. Always subscribe. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. That's all we ask. It's free. Subscribe. It's important. Same over here. You can help out MarshallKofi.com/SurfDog74, or you can drop us a Rumble rant on Rumble, or subscribe over there as well. All right. So this came out. I had an article about it, but I didn't want to run out of time. So what happened was you had, I believe it was, I wrote this down. I had a bunch of stuff. Look, this is all the stuff I do. This is all the research I do. So I guess there was a lawyer arrested, a Palestinian prisoner abuse recorded. A military lawyer was arrested for reviewing the Palestinian prison abuse of being raped. So what happened was, there's a whole article. Maybe I'll bring it up. It's Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and those who released the videos of Israeli soldiers raping Palestinians. My God, disgusting. Prisoner rape caused enormous reputation damage to Israel. He's annoyed that they got caught and not about rape itself. I mean, just listen to what he has to say. So they're not really that they got caught, and someone leaked it out. which I guess was a lawyer, military lawyer that they're looking for. Yeah, that's not going to end well for her.
תימן גרם לנזק תדמיתי עצום למדינת ישראל ולצבא הגנה לישראל, לחיילים שלנו. זה אולי הפיגוע הסברתי הקשה ביותר שמדינת ישראל חוותה מאז הקמתה. אני לא זוכר דבר ממוקד בעוצמה כזאת. זה מחייב בדיקה עצמאית ובלתי תלויה, אני מצפה שגם כזאת תתבצע.
Yeah, I don't think he's liking that too much, that this information was leaked out. I didn't want to get to the article. I just wanted to show that because, at this point, it's like, whatever. Okay, 2 more and that's it. I want to get into this because I think this is important. I've been covering a lot about Venezuela, and we're going to cover that, but I think this ties into it. Here we go. President Trump is planning sending U.S. troops into Mexico to target drug cartels. I think this has to do with Venezuela. I think the operation is can be global, could be national, could be stretching. Obviously, it's worldwide. It's probably in Colombia. It's probably in Venezuela. It's probably in let's just say entranced with a lot of these countries in some way. And a lot of people like to make these suppositions that Maduro's fighting this, fighting the shadow corporation, global corporation, international cartel specters, so to speak, on his land that are operating there in Colombia, or maybe they're all coming from Mexico. We don't know how big this organization is. I mean, it's transnational. I mean, obviously, Colonel McGregor and Tucker conversation was really quite interesting. If you have a chance to go watch that, I would. That's really interesting. And that's why Tucker was saying, well, why would we want to depose this guy? Why would we want? He's the one who's like making sure that we don't have trans or gays or all this other stuff, and he's making a legit thing. I mean, so you're saying that are we standing by that he's a good guy and he's basically bifurcating and going after these international cartels that not just control the drugs, that control the mining operations, the rare earth, the oil. He doesn't have, so he doesn't have oil. It's the corporations of these companies. That's why we have a massive flotilla of ships and submarines and 16,000 troops, 5,000 Marines. I mean, it's a massive armada that's just outside.
Isn't there an aircraft carrier down there?
I think there's 2.
Wow.
I think there's one. I know there's one. I think it's the Ford. Either the Ford or I think it's the Ford. One of them's there. There's submarines there. They got battleships there. They got a whole swath of stuff there. But it seems to me, if we're talking international, global.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched the Colonel McGregor thing. It was fantastic. And he was making the argument, it's not necessarily the trans global discussion of all these paramilitary types of narco traffickers and cartel people. It's also the people that are controlling them through these corporations or transnational corporations. That's what he says. And he says that they're dug in like ticks, and that what we're trying to do is stop the operation, anything coming out, anything, mining the rare earth, the diamonds, the this, the that, the oil, this, that. And it's less about China per se, but they have a hand in it. Less about Russia, but they have a hand in it. So is it a transnational global cartel that's operating there, and then Colombia, and then it starts with Mexico, and that's why we're going to hit Mexico? I don't know. I think
maybe global deep state.
Yeah, it could be global deep state. Like I said, there's so many variables in this. Go watch that. It's blown away by it. And they're saying, and then of course Machado, who won the Nobel Peace Prize, she wants him to be overthrown so she could become the next dictator. And I think the problem is that that's not really a good idea, because you could destabilize a region if you don't have control of your military and your generals. And I don't think she does. So what are we doing behind the scenes? What are we doing? Are we trying to take out all the shadow elements inside that are dug in there like ticks, while we deal with the transnational global corporation that it's already there, that are extracting minerals, extracting diamonds, extracting oil, extracting this, extracting that? I don't know. It would lead one to believe one with the other, or both, or natural, or just having a blockade up there that these people can't leave. And eventually it's a stranglehold on their financial grip. I think that's possible. I think McGregor was hinting to that. Let's listen to this.
Would include American troops and intelligence officers on the ground striking drug labs and cartel leaders south of the border. This would essentially open a new front in the president's military campaign against cartels, which is thus far focused on strikes against alleged drug-carrying boats. Well, on Saturday, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth announced what appears to be the 15th boat strike in the Caribbean. Following all of this, Courtney Cuban would include American.
Okay, I mean, they're going to go in. We have already heard we've heard these ruminations for a long time. We've heard these things for a while. They're going in with assets. They're going in with special teams and other things. And I don't know, clandestine operations, JSOC, I don't know what they're going in with. But this has been going on, or this conversation been going on. I wouldn't be surprised the CIA has been there, or I wouldn't be surprised they're involved per se. I mean, or at least elements of that. You got to think that they have some hand in this transnational, global, deep state operation that continues on worldwide. And it's not just the United States that's coming in from our southern hemisphere, but it's part of the problem. So we are able to help Maduro in some way, but Trump's like, he's got to go. And he says his days are numbered. Is this a flex? Is this a push? Is he just sliding this away and not saying it's not Maduro, or someone else has to come in there to replace him in order to fix the problem? They need to have new elections, because remember, this guy got elected the same way Chavez did on Smartmatic and Dominion. So who's to say he's not a puppet? So when some people come to defense of him, and I'm not arguing it's possible, it's plausible, as McGregor said. So, we should be careful about regime change. Yeah, that's not what we're doing here. And President Trump is basically making that point. We're not doing that. But then what are we doing? Are we seizing the rare earth, the diamond, the gold, the oil, whatever, the rare earth? We're blocking this in. We're taking control of it. It's possible. Will Maduro step down on his own? I don't know. It says President Donald Trump said he does not expect the United States to go to war with Venezuela, but confirmed the nation's socialist dictator may soon be toppled. Trump defended recent military operations in the Caribbean Sea targeting drug smuggling vessels. Venezuela. Trump accused Venezuela of sending criminals in the United States, and the socialist regime days are numbered. There was something that I discussed, and I said that there could have been some deal with Biden or Obama, something of $1 trillion operation and stuff, sending money, collecting drugs, working through transnational corporations, NGOs, what have you, to send this armada of people up here. Terrorists, drug addicts, drug dealers, criminals, coyotes, you name it. Of the worst of the worst through the United States. And that deal was created and fostered between Maduro and the Biden regime. I believe I was reading stuff about that. We're talking like $1 trillion operation, some ridiculous amount. We'll allow you to come up here, but you pay us X amount. They were paying for access for everything. You send your people up here, you're allowed to, do what you got to do, as long as you pay us to do it. This could be one of the reasons I believe that President Trump is quite aware of that deal that was made. And in some way, when he sent the CIA in there, he could just say plausible deniability. Now, the question is, they probably want him to surrender, because if you kill him, it might not look so good, because you don't want to topple regimes. But if you surrender, and your whole operation that was built on probably a clandestine CIA operation, maybe some bad guys that were setting this up, that were operating this, I think so. They dumped hundreds of thousands of people in the country, and they didn't want people from prisons. They emptied their prisons into our country. And look, and because Joe Biden was the worst president, I think there's so much more than that. See, the Ford Carrier Strike Group is there, positioned under the U.S. Southern Command. So that means if there's a Ford Carrier Strike Group, there's about, 13, 14 ships and 2 submarines? How many does a Carrier Strike Group have? It's got to be more than 10. You know what I'm saying? And then you got submarines, probably 2 submarines. Let's say at least 2 subs, because you're going to want that protecting your flank and protecting what's, from being sunk and stuff. Probably battleship groups, frigates. I don't even know. I'm not a Navy guy.
The biggest question, though, Brett, is Why would you need all of that for one tiny little country named Venezuela? Why?
Well, that's also putting a blockade on.
Yeah,
it's Trinidad and what's it? Togo, Tonogo, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not just those little countries, because
Right.
it's almost like we're in a global corporate government like a corporatocracy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I would think that. Yeah, I think there's something more going on here. Again, I think that part of what McGregor said to, Tucker, I think there is a transnational operation that's like a Spectre from James Bond that's operating, mining, mineraling, taking all this stuff up from a deep state dark apparatus. Also, probably trafficking. From various
countries.
Yeah, various countries
They're
that are
all
operating.
like piled in, trying to. Yeah, and Trump knows it.
Yeah,
that's why he's focusing on these guys.
I think it's a lot bigger than we think it is, and
Maduro
it's not just cartels. It's a cartel.
Bigger than that.
Yeah, it's the umbrella corporation that runs the cartels of these shadow groups inside in there that are actually doing all the labor, the physicalities, the let's just say the vehicle, the transportation, the vehicling, the selling, all the stuff that they're actually utilizing in some way to move the product off, whatever that product may be, whether it's human or not, or minerals, mining, oil, this and that. And it could be that they're just put a blockade up there and stopped all this stuff. Again, we don't know how this might be bigger than we think it is.
I think it is.
I think that we're missing the mark about this. This is not just some couple of cartels that are just taking over. Maduro's running this. I mean, and they're actually saying that Maduro himself is trying to been fighting this in some way. Okay. I mean, President Trump has been kind of like, he's not telling us one way or another what this is, but he's like, Maduro has to go. Yeah. By saying not, what do you think he's really saying? By saying not, he probably can't tell anybody how bad it is. So I don't know.
Obviously, a much bigger threat than what we get, and most people have no idea. They're like, they hear about Venezuela and they're like, they're worried about China or Russia and all this, Russia, Ukraine,
right?
Instead of what's in our own backyard.
This could be the deep dark, the hidden hand, so to speak. This is the transnational organization that you see in James Bond all the time that a lot of people don't even know exist. They're inside our governments, inside all the agencies, inside everything. They're listening, they're watching. They're all brought in by these intelligence apparatuses from all these different areas. So a new UAP data, extraterrestrials have been here before. You don't say. Study lends credibility to UAP sightings. It's commentary on the Swedish report. The News International explained the study's peer-reviewed, meaning the scientists found no evidence to reject the findings of authors, just another baseless UFO story. Okay. Two hypotheses. The study points to the possible hypothesis. First is a theory involves unexpected and previously undocumented atmospheric phenomena triggered by nuclear detonations or related to nuclear fallout that may serve as a stimulus for UAP reports and appear as transients on astronomical images. If this was true, the researchers believe there would be a streaked image of photographic plates during a 50-minute exposure. Streaking was not observed. They're basically saying is that, look, a lot of this stuff, the research they're finding that wasn't scrubbed or hidden away and stuff are brought about by certain phenomena. One is what they suggest is detonating a nuclear weapon in a high altitude scenario or underwater or wherever that they normally do this at. Furthermore, the researchers conceded some transients may represent UAP events. They call them transients in orbit. They used to call them fast walkers, and that was back in the late 90s, captured on photographic plates to launch the first artificial satellite. I don't know. They're basically trying to, again, give you supposition that they've been here. They've always been here. They're not coming from there. They're not coming from down there. They've been all over the place. Now they're They're coming from underneath the water, the Earth's crust, interdimensional. I mean, you see the fight about MTG was on Bill Maher saying, yes, there's stuff about that. He's like, I don't know if they're interdimensional or this, and he was wrecking JD Vance and other people saying they're interdimensional, they're demons and blah blah blah. And they're saying that's a fallacy. They don't, because look, if you say it's that and you hide the idea that it's some way interdimensional beings coming from another dimension that are demons or what have you, fallen angels, whatever, then you basically characterize the argument and you give the supposition theoretically that Christ exists. He died for us, rose after the third day. And yes, all of it's real. They don't want to give that a quarter. They don't want to give that some type of little box that they can put in there. They'd rather say it's off-world, it's underground, they come from this, they come from that. Anything but that. Because still the agnostics and the atheists cannot posit that idea in one fashion. I can posit many things simultaneously. And you know what? I am a Christian, so yes, I can believe that too. Do I have any proof of that? Hell no. I have no proof of that. Yes, Darla L, but if God exists, then you can make that argument. Who's to say they're not from a future time, coming back in another wormhole? You know, some type of portal, transferring back, the upside down world. It's all possible. I don't know. I mean, I listen to Richard Dolan quite a bit. I have a couple of his books. I thought he was the preeminent guy on this. But I've come to the point that at the very end with a lot of these people, all of them, almost all of them, just don't know. There's just that you come, they have all this evidence, they have all this stuff. But in the end, it's like the rest of us. We really can't put our finger on it. Marshall, your thoughts?
Well, they got all those damn statues or whatever carvings in the stones of these reptilian creatures from back in the day, years ago or whatever. You know, out UFOs and all that, that's a distraction. Come on, man. Whatever it is, it's here.
It's always a distraction. That's my point.
I always, you know what I call them, Brett? I call them snowbirds.
Yeah.
They're coming down now. They're clogging up the fucking.
Well, they appear when things start to get, you know.
They start yelling, "Hey, Joey!"
They start showing who they are and start appearing out of the blue. When you're like, wait a minute, the streets weren't as packed, the roads weren't as crowded. You know, someone who lives in South Florida, who you lived in South Florida.
Oh my God,
the snowbirds are everywhere, but they're up here on the west coast of Florida too.
They're coming down.
They come here too. So
they're all coming down.
Why is there so much traffic? Well, the UFOs are back. The UAPs are back. That's what we call them. They just snuck in under the radar, and next thing you know, the traffic's like 3 hours. Traffic's bad here.
They're yelling and screaming.
They're yelling and screaming. They're like shiny little objects. Hi, I'm over here. They got
Where
the
you
thick
get
accent.
your pie, your pizza?
Yeah.
It's all good.
All right. I think the scratch offs were released. Okay. I released the scratch offs. Anything but Christ. Yep. Exactly that. I think that's the name of the game. So anything to avoid any type of discussion to bring that up. And I think that goes for UAPs or UFOs. I mean, since when do we start calling them UAPs? I mean, honestly, does it really matter anymore?
Give me a fucking break.
You know, I mean, can we go back to like the 50s terms? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, let's go back to the nomenclature from the 1950s. All right, that's our show for tonight. I want to thank everybody on YouTube. I saw a lot of people on YouTube. Please subscribe if you're over there. It's really important. I mean, trying to get that up and running and stuff. I mean, it's going there. I mean, I know a lot of people are on Rumble and stuff. They don't want to transition over, but there's a whole swath of people that never came over to Rumble. They're still on YouTube and stuff. So just want to let you know that. So, yeah, that's our show tonight. I want to thank everybody. If you want to help out Marshall on the way out, ko-fi.com/surfdog74. We will see you on Wednesday at 7:30. Have a good evening. God bless. Be well. Be safe. Ciao, Bella.
All right.